Greetings, one and all. This is the voice of beloved Lord Saint Germain. I've come you today to speak to you about the purple violet ray of love's forgiveness out of the heart of the great central sun, the great, great silence, and also have been asked to speak in reference to essential oils, specifically lavender. Also in this meeting today, we have a few present here of devout souls who've heard that clarion call and have come in appreciation of what's being said, and also sacrifice on their own personal parts in their personal lives to be here today. As will be those who listen to this recording, bless you one and all. Those who have will acquire Amethyst. Even if you're listening to this recording, I will put my personal vibration of the beloved Lord Saint Germain, the purple violet ray, into your Amethyst and charge it today, so that it will have an energy sustain of its own indefinitely in that piece of amethyst, specifically for that crystal. So as we move along here, beloved Lord Saint Germain talks about the focus of rays. He says that in the mineral kingdom there is a sort of a download of a constant energy. Some people call it cosmic energy or cosmic conscious energy, but nevertheless it comes in the great I am presence of God, out of the heart of the great central sun, the great, great silence. It pervasive throughout the galaxy and through all galaxies and universes and all time and space, as not just this solar system here or this specific planet or this specific location here in Virginia. So he says to focus a little more on what he's going to say today, that the mineral kingdom receives these blessings all the time in all 7 rays, but they resonate on those portions of the ray that there is of their specific essence. So today we're talking about the purple violet ray, which identifies with the amethyst crystals, and this vibratory action raises the vibration specifically on this planet, as is all planets, where all crystals resolve and all throughout the universe, the galaxy, the cosmos, radiating God's divine message and light. It's what links us all together. It's all a collective. Everyone and everything is receiving this energy. So he talks about the purple violet ray connecting up with the amethyst crystal, because we have most all of the mineral kingdom, he says, present in your physical body. Even some things some people would consider extremely dangerous, like arsenic, but in a certain form it becomes ornate and harmless to the human body. But in its own context, it provides a powerful array of energies and diffusion energies. So going back to the mineral kingdom, and that's, as the previous talks may not be aware of, that in the crystal kingdom there are certain crystals that become dilute in solution. So in our bloodstream we have a lot of salts and minerals and trace minerals that are kind of important for the human body, as well as in the ethereal body, astral bodies, and as you go up. So we have sort of a replica of this physical form, especially in ethereal form. So since we have some suspended in solution crystals that still act as if they were in solid form, outside of being dissolved in solution, they act pretty much the same way. So beloved Lord Saint Germain says the purple violet ray is resonating with equivalent to what would be amethyst crystals in our bloodstream, because we are of the earth, and with all the elements of the chart are represented to us in our bodies today. And he says thanks to mankind, as sort of a negative remark, that radiation is brought in, plutonium and iridium and other things that are common in our environment. Our body has thus adjusted, and therefore the output of certain organs that produce sodium bicarbonate has neutralized its effects, so not to worry. But nevertheless, most of the spectrum chart of elements are represented in our physical body, in those things that would be necessary to, if we were starting from scratch, to create crystals in a atomic form. So he says, to get more direct, is this vibration of sympathy with the purple violet ray as by we acknowledge it in our brain, our nervous system, it starts to create those crystal forms to identify with that which we are thinking. So it's interesting, as above, so below, within is without, outwardly expressed. So what we have in our heart, we so outwardly express it through our emotions, through our thoughts, through the infrared microwave radiation that our body radiates out. And thus, being aligned with the amethyst crystal, will begin to cause those crystalline forms to come together, the processes to build those in our bloodstream. So when we concentrate on the purple violet ray, which is the highest ray and the shortest wavelength of extreme purity and transmutation that transmutes us from the physical matter into etherealized and essentially toward our ascending energies to a higher place. Just like Christ, there have been many, including myself, who have ascended to higher planes, that we don't have to live on the physical earth plane anymore and choose not to, but it's for greater works that we can do in other places that will affect and help mankind through generosity and also our divine love for man. So beloved Lord Saint Germain says, now that we've brought into existence, at least in our conscious mind, that we have the ability and perhaps have already created our amethyst crystal, when we focus upon our heart seed atom, because the power of the human soul and spirit can at least create one single atom, and that happens to be the heart seed atom, and upon it is engraved all of your past lives and even pre-past life experiences before you came to this planet, and other planes are recorded on it. And it's recorded in many dimensions. One would think it's only recorded in the third dimension, when it's recorded in the fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Our experiences on those planes, and he says on those planes, is also recorded on this heart seed atom. So it's sort of a history of all of our beginnings here. And in that, when we visualize and see that purple violet energy surrounding our heart seed atom in the center of our physical heart, it begins to magnetize and erase and purify things in our bloodstream, because is written in many of the holy books, and we'll specifically talk about the Christian Bible, has references to how powerful the blood is, the blood of Christ. So when we think about Christ's thoughts, for example, then we actually charge through our heart seed atom the blood that goes to our physical body, changing the vibratory rates of all the cells in our body, which is in the many trillions. And it's an even higher number than that, but he doesn't believe that we have a mathematical equivalent measurement. But nevertheless, beloved Lord Saint Germain is telling us that we can transmute ourselves by visualizing the purple violet ray in our heart, in our heart seed atom, and when we do that, we're actually calling into existence in a solution form the existence of amethyst. So he says here tonight, as you mentioned earlier, that he will personally put the purple violet energies of love's forgiveness from beloved Lord Saint Germain into your amethyst present and into the amethyst of those who listen to this recording. If you just place it near your sound device, then by his intention it will become so. And he says that just in that of our own creations, by our intention, so it will be so. So that he brings into the seed of thought. He takes, for example, for a potential mother who thinks that how nice and feels that divine calling to someday perhaps have a child, and as she builds those images in her mind and things, it begins to bring the circumstances to pass on the earth plane, so that all parties and everything present necessary to cause a conception to bring that child into an embodiment. So interestingly enough, we do that same thing every day in the thoughts of what we want in our life. So there you think about your noontime meal, and you've just passed breakfast. Now we're manifesting and will be manifesting into physical existence the ability to go and acquire our noontime repast, or our lunch. So, but it started with a thought. Many times people regulate their lives by the clock, and yet there's a divine and cosmic clock that's bigger than all of it that regulates all of us. Even in the ascended planes, we have certain cycles of things that we will participate or even accelerate sometimes and in order to bring forth events, or to retard it so that to delay events. In the case of mankind and the graduation from this planet Earth, of having been able to never come back, at least in this set, they've accelerated a little bit to take advantage of certain connections in the universe. You might say magnetic and light connections. Alignments is another word for it. So it has the maximum amount of energy to help people transmute their physical form, and raising its vibratory rate that they cease that connection to having been necessary or the less for the human flesh. And that means you want to keep living life after life. It becomes addictive. So he says to cut that addiction, especially for the graduating class, they've accelerated some energies to help us get strength over our own human self, for its prevalence to want to exist. And it is more just a precipitation of energies and frequencies that are programmed from a higher level of our consciousness. So now we're changing that program, and when you change that program, so thus you change your physical form. So he says it's a practical application of that. So it's a little sidebar off of this purple-violet dissertation today, is weight control, for example. So as we see that in the heart seed atom of our heart, that we see the trim and form that we want to be, and we bring in that loving emotion, because the purple violet fire of love's forgiveness is that love on a specific frequency of the purple violet energy, the highest visual frequency that you can have in the visual spectrum that the human body can sense. So beloved Lord Saint Germain is saying this, that in our mind's eye and in our heartseed atom, we're feeling and seeing ourselves being more trim and slim and healthy, and those things that don't need to attach to us, old ideas, old thoughts, sort of a clutter. Our consciousness attracts to us clutter in the physical, and therefore we can surround our physical form with excess weight that we don't need to carry, and of other elements, including the water element, then we become more obese. So he says in this, when we see ourselves slim and trim, and he says that's the secret behind many slim and trim runners, whether it be men or women, is they're seeing the image that they want in their mind's eye as they're performing their exercise or their ritual. So he says in this case, in a ritualistic way, we're standing on our treadmill and casting off pounds, and literally we'll be casting off pounds, because we just see it tearing down and stripping away those excess baggage that we don't need to carry. You're jettisoning it. So just see it as that, bye-bye, farewell, and leave it. And leave it there, he says, and don't carry it with you when you go home. So the life is very much an illusion, just like the Far East masters in India and other places have taught, that this is Maya, it's a make-believe world, but we think we live here. And it seems to be very real and tangible, especially when you get bills in the mail that you have to pay, and other necessity like the taking care of hunger and so on. But in the long run of it all, we precipitate what we want to be. So now we need to have that mindset of inspiration that changes our physical form. It changes your metabolism in your body to manifest health, good health. And we cut the excess baggage, especially emotional baggage, seems to be the hardest for mankind and womankind to get rid of, so that it can manifest in this way in extra pounds that we don't need. So we cut the emotional baggage, it's not ours, and we let it go, and then of its own it will go by attrition and wither away without any ill effects to our physical demeanor or our perfect health that we're maintaining in our mind's eye. So getting back to the subject, using this purple violet energy and this transmuting energy on the sympathetic side in a physical material form, in a solution no less, is the diluted crystals of the amethyst, created out of the sympathetic vibration that we've visualized, the purple violet fire of energy in our heart seed atom. So the two come together, and in a physical way, an intrinsic way, that mankind can, through a present instrumentation, measure that there will be the presence of amethyst as we so concentrate on it. he said they have similar devices that astronomers use to tell what mineralogy there is on a planet or on the sun or any space object, and by aiming it at the physical body they'll be able to tell what the mineral content is, and they'll see that there will be mineral contents associated with the amethyst because that's what we're focusing our mind and heart on. He says this were another talk, say, by another master who's attuned, say, to the emerald ray, and for whatever reason he wants to bring a karmic Lord Alarian into this, that would be what would be manifested in putting that in our heart seed center. So he talks about chakra balance because there will be some to contest this dissertation today because they're all about balance, and we could have visualized any one of the rays from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, darker royal blue, and he says the purple violet blue, and then purple violet energies that are going up into the spectrum, as you would see as if you were breaking up a light beam with a prism. So in that context, it's not necessary in this exercise to go through every one of those rays in your heart seed atom to balance your chakras, just so to take care of this particular context. He has and is the living testament of using the purple violet ray because he ascended from physical form into the ethereal worlds and higher. He resides some of the time, he says, in the heart of the great central sun where the greatest activities of angels are. And at that point, you, just by intention, you can bilocate to multiple locations simultaneously. In other words, be in many locations simultaneously. And this is what the ascended masters do all the time, as the law of the Lord Jesus Christ, by the millions and trillions of connections, you see. So this is where, as it is said, this is mastery. So to work toward our mastery, he says, in our transmutation, we need to every day visualize that purple violet energy and the amethyst crystal within our heart. It'll bring it into sympathy and create it in our bloodstream in every cell, and will become like cosmic receptors of that specific frequency of transmutation to erase the negative and transmute it into a positive wave. He says also in a physical form, wearing amethyst greatly aids this, especially those crystals that he is magnetizing today in a special way. So he says, a student might say, well, why don't you take all the amethyst, say, in the planet Earth and magnetize it? And they have been, and getting it to radiate out to humanity. But he says the negativity that the humanity creates is constant and sometimes ever increasing. So they do everything they can to de-escalate the anger and hatred and negativity, to turn it into positive love, light, and harmony, especially the universal love that God has for us, the I Am Presence, as we should have for each other. He said every marriage would benefit as we see our mate in the purple violet ray transmuting their lesser qualities into refined qualities of light and divine love. And if each person of a mated pair would do that, then their marriage would rejoice and it would be so much happier in life and for your significant others. He could put that in there too as a proviso. So he wants to go a little bit further on here in saying that there's a steering energy, he says, in the bigger cosmic plan. So as we align ourselves with certain rays and associate with certain crystals and also with certain essential oils that benefit, like lavender with the amethyst, then it becomes a focus and it's easier to overcome certain things that we've found a struggle before without its aid to overcome. It's not that the physical object itself, being essential oil or being the stone of lavender, has the power, but it becomes a sort of a focus and an antenna of its own. So he wants to talk about lavender now and how it benefits our body in many ways. It's the calming effects, the analgesic, and other properties of amethyst. The lavender. So he says some would say, can I slather lavender on my amethyst? He says absolutely, because there's sort of alignment of the two sets of worlds. There you have the plant kingdom intermingling with the mineral kingdom. Interestingly enough, he says the minerals that are soaked up in the lavender plants from its indigenous form or wherever that is raised, it does have a mineral content, and there's a sympathy between the itself and the crystal that you put it upon. In this case, we're bringing the lavender, which has a purple violet flower, and together with the crystal lavender. He says while he's been giving his dissertation, he's been putting divine love of the I Am Presence into your crystals and raising its frequency in the core of each of these crystals, and those who will be listening to place your crystals near the listening device, and the same by his intention will be happening. And he said, well, how can that possibly happen? It's just a recording. But he says, interestingly enough, this recording records everybody's pleasant thoughts in this room today, as well as the presence of quite a bit of amethyst, he said, presently. So he says that you can never outlove God, and you can never give enough love to others, irregardless of the negativity they're sending. As we put them in the purple violet energies of love's forgiveness, and perhaps listening to a replication of this recording and having charged a piece of amethyst and given it as a gift, you could very well change that person's life. Obviously, putting lavender on and its calming effects will change that person's life. So the most important thing is we're never to force something on somebody. They have to be ready for it. So that's where our prayers come in. We give it to the divine to ready that person to receive these divine gifts, lest they be pearls under the feet of swine, as said Christ in the recorded in the Christian Bible. So he says, interestingly enough, there you take wine, for example, and most of it is sort of a purple color. So he says that in imbuing of that connects us in a way biologically, he says, with the molecular structure of alcohol, and also you have resveratrol and other things in the wine that will benefit us in our circulation and so on, and digestion. He says nothing in excess. So there we are, we are caught at the betwixt and between when we're dealing with others who we have a confrontation with, even at a distance. So he says it's sort of a comical way, because the beloved Lord Saint Germain does have a sense of humor, that this person makes a little small toast to somebody who's having an issue somewhere else, perhaps they're in Seattle, and there you have your piece of amethyst in one hand and with some lavender on it, and you give them a little toast to your purple wine, to their highest good and greatest forward progression, that the connection, the molecular connection, connects with them. He says, and alcohol is really part of the sugar molecules are very similar. It's just a simple process that converts one to the other. So he says sugar, glucose, is used by the cells as an energy source, and that a lot of the protein matter, according to biologists, I guess he's going to Biology 101, he's saying that that's what produces the energy in our cells, and of course we give off, he's talking about lactic acid and other things as the byproduct. So he says in that we can transmute that lactic acid byproduct just with the intentions of the purple violet ray in our heart. It's transmuting those crystals into harmless substances, so our body doesn't see it as a poison, and jettison it easier without any strain on our kidneys and other parts of our body. So he says, going back to this, therefore connecting with his everything in moderation. So he's not asking a person to take out a keg of wine to celebrate somebody who's having an issue, or that we're laughing at them. Not. He says your intention by all of this is to send a sympathetic vibration to that person that will allow them to make a change. So we're sending them a little bit of sugar. He says that's so funny. It's because husbands and wives do that all the time over the phone. Send each other a little sugar. So kisses. But nevertheless, beloved Lord Saint Germain comes back to the main course of his dissertation today, of talking about the purple violet fire of love's forgiveness and the heartseed atom, its connection with the amethyst that by intention we've created in our bloodstream, this by sympathy. And of course in the great central sun, and in all suns, there is all a kingdom of minerals, you might say, associated with our periodic chart, and many who are not even on the chart yet, that there's this amethyst sympathy with the great central sun. So this moment, and even those who will be listening in the future time of this recording, there is a connection of your stone, your amethyst stone, directly to the great central sun and the amethyst in mineralogy in the lower dimension of that great orb. So this energy connection is very alive, it's very intelligent, and you can guide it to help you in your pursuit of your own ascensions, as well as helping others. Its connection with the earth and the other amethysts in the earth, amethyst element perhaps is spread out to the oceans, that it sort of transmutes this earth. So it's interesting, we're using one mineral element here and an essential oil, which is lavender, to change the plan of mankind to something more positive with a better outcome, where all of us will graduate without any terrible consequences to the earth or to ourselves. So he's bringing this to a close tonight, but he gives you, and he holds up his fingers much like the Christ did, and he says it's amazing how it kind of looks like the Boy Scouts, where you're holding up two fingers and the rest are kind of clasped into the palm of your hand, and he gives your blessings, he gives blessings to all of you, and anoints you all sort of priests and priestesses of the Ascension Order of the Beloved Lord Saint Germain and the astral, ethereal, and higher dimensions, that all of you are now, and those who will be listening, are future members of this great order. And through that, our responsibilities is to love one another and transmute and work on our own selves, as well as helping out and assisting and teaching others how they can. And he says, remember that lavender in moderation or even excessive is still good for us. So he brings this to a close, and he's hit some type of little chime that resonates, he says, with all the stone of amethyst that you have brought to be magnetized with his personal vibration. So many of you after this will feel, perhaps when you touch your stones, and it can't be washed off because it's there permanently, you'll see the image of beloved Saint Germain in your mind and your heart. He only comes as a guiding star and a light to mankind, as a representative of the Great White Brotherhood. So must it be.